Never underestimate the power of kindness, empathy and compassion in your interaction with others. He lived by those words, and today in his demise, the entire country remembers the legacy of Ratan Tata, a legacy that touched lives, inspired generations, played a pivotal role in nation building and changed the face of Indian industry in the global business landscape. Bharat's Anmol Ratan, iconic industrialist, chairman emeritus of Tata Sons, Ratan Tata breathed his last in Mumbai's Breach Candy Hospital last night. The 86-year-old was undergoing treatment over the last few days, and due to age-related ailments, his mortal remains were kept at the lawns of the National Centre for Performing Arts in South Mumbai's Nariman Point, where business leaders, actors, artists, politicians and people from all walks of life paid their respects. The legendary industrialist was given a state funeral in Maharashtra. Ratan Tata's last rites performed with full state honours. Prime Minister Narendra Modi today remembers him as a visionary business leader, a compassionate soul and an extraordinary human being. In fact, everyone who's ever interacted with him has described him as the giant of the industry who had the gentle heart and soul and believed in compassion and believed in investing in the progress of the human race. Let me in fact go across to the chairman of RN Capital, Mohandas Pai, joining us on the broadcast. Thank you very much for giving us your time. Today it's a personal loss for many. The entire country is mourning the demise of Mr. Ratan Tata. As someone who's observed his journey closely, what are the first thoughts? How would you describe Mr. Ratan Tata, his qualities both as a leader and a person?
Well, I think the biggest qualities that define him was his compassion for society, putting community ahead of everything else, taking care of his people, his commitment to his value system, and his humility. In all his actions, he always put people first. You can see it when he downsized Tata Steel. You could see it after the terrorist attack in Mumbai in the Taj Hotel. You could see it after retirement when he set up those cancer hospitals for the poor and for all of us. In every activity, he was guided by the principle that business objective is to ensure the betterment of society and all stakeholders. And he did that without putting his interest first. His interest was his country's interest. He was a patriot, a nationalist, always there for India, always supported India globally and in India, stood up for India, spoke for India, always participated in worthy causes. And as a businessman, he was a role model for everybody.
So his legacy was beyond business. Now, if I ask you to share any, personal anecdotes, any interactions, your fondest memories of Ratan Tata, what would they be?
Yeah, I met him 2 or 3 times. He came once to Infosys to inaugurate the JRD Tata Hall, because we named our main hall, meeting hall at the corporate office after JRD Tata. Of course, TCS was a rival, but we invited him. He came and he was very humble, very compassionate. He spoke well. He spoke about his association with Infosys, the respect for Infosys, and what he was doing at the Tatas, and how JRD had impacted him, because he took over from JRD, and he spoke about the controversies that happened when he took over. But in all his meeting and his endeavor, he came out as a person of great character, a person of great compassion and humility, and a person of great commitment. I mean, he moved all of us, and his value system and how he spoke about community and society and all his employees had a very profound influence on all of us. So I think he certainly stands out as the titan of Indian industry post-independence.
Right. Now, along with his business acumen, of course, he was known for philanthropy. Several countries remember him as a generous donor. How do you think his contribution, shaped India's policies, principles, and in fact, also the world?
Well, the Tatas have a great association with Singapore and Southeast Asia. They help Singapore set up skill development post-independence. And I think in Air India was a role model for all the airlines in Asia. And the Singaporeans have very great fond memories of him. Filippo just spoke about how Ratan Tata had a great influence and how both of them set up the Singapore Technology Park in Bangalore. And Ratan Tata was their partner and a great friend. So he's remembered there. He's remembered in the US among business circles as head of the Indian CEO Forum and his interaction with everybody. And in Europe too, he had a large number of business connections. So when globally people thought of India and India's business, the name of Ratan Tata came up pretty high in the list. So when you look at various countries, you identify countries by business leaders, political leaders, social leaders. And for India, business was identified by Ratan Tata. And whenever big business leaders wanted to come to India, they always said they want to meet Ratan Tata, seek his advice.
Mr. Pai, how would you personally remember Mr. Ratan Tata, as the titan of the industry or as a philanthropist?
No, I would personally remember him as a person of great humility and compassion and values. To me, those are essential qualities. Human qualities are the most important, because at the end of a long life, what would you like to be remembered as? You like to be remembered as the person who put society's interest first, advanced society's interest, impacted the largest number of people, treated people with great respect and humility and compassion. That's what we all remember. There are a large number of rich billionaires in the world. You don't remember people for becoming billionaires or very wealthy. You remember them for how they treated others and how they improved society's prospects and what they did for society. I think that's what we'll remember him for, because remember, he was not a very large shareholder in the Tatas. Tata Trust is majorly owned by the Tata. Tata Sons is owned by the Tata Trust, and Tata Sons is a holding company for a large number of Tata companies. So most of the profits of the group companies went to Tata Sons and went to charity. And he played a great role in making sure that charitable money was well spent for the welfare of people, opening up hospitals, supporting worthy causes. Personally, he didn't benefit too much from being the chairman of Tata Sons, because he never had a stake in Tata Sons. And I don't think he had a stake in many of the Tata companies. But he was a trustee of the community. He was a trustee of people, like the Tatas like to be called and like to be known at. And that, I think, is a very important attribute today. When we have so many billionaires, so many successful people, they should treat themselves as trustees of society and use their wealth to benefit society. And that's what Ratan Tata did. And that's why we remember him more and more.
Absolutely. And perhaps that's the reason why he's been described as the beacon of hope and humanity, especially during the challenging times, the one that our country faced in form of COVID-19 pandemic, when layoffs were happening all around. Ratan Tata criticized those actions. He said, this lacks empathy, and he highlighted the need for compassionate leadership, especially in challenging times. How do you view that? How crucial is that when it comes to leadership?
You see, leadership is known in a crisis. In ordinary life, day-to-day life, everybody is a leader, right? You can call anybody a leader, it means nothing. It's only in a crisis people stand apart and demonstrate what true leadership is. And during the COVID crisis, during the terrorism crisis, he stood apart and showed why he's a good leader. He put people first in COVID. Even among the terrorist attack, he made sure that everybody, was treated fairly and treated well, and he gave them courage. He protected them later. And even in COVID, he made sure that Tata's helped out everybody, and no Tata employee was left high and dry. They did not sack people, did not remove people from the jobs and all that. So I think, in a crisis is where leadership stands out. And certainly, when any crisis came, he stood out and he demonstrated leadership.
Everybody that we are talking to is describing him as a man of his words and a man of principle. Were you ever personally witness to that?
Well, I told you about my 2 or 3 meetings with him, and during the meeting we spoke about leadership, and he said his leadership is based upon the Tata value system and commitment to society. And he spoke about what he did when they had to downsize Tata Sons, Tata Steel from 70,000 to 40,000. He made sure that people let go, got their net salary till the date of retirement. And he said, look, I can't hurt anybody. I have to pay them back for the commitment to us, and they worked very hard for us, and I have to demonstrate our commitment. And he gave other examples in other enterprises where during a crisis he stood by. And to me, that was truly extraordinary because, a business person's ability to take care of all stakeholders is very crucial for success. While in the short run, it will hurt you because you spend your money and, you could have lesser profits. But the long term, loyalty, commitment to the corporation are important attributes to build good, long-lasting companies. And that's what exactly he did.
Also, do you agree that what sets him apart is that, today, of course, people don't just remember him for the brilliant, sharp mind that he was, but also, his compassion. One of the most told stories, famous known stories about him is his gesture for caring for stray animals at Bombay House and the Taj Mahal Hotel as well. Do you believe that, when you have such a kind heart which is full of love, it makes a significant impact when it comes to your leadership style or the kind of corporate culture that you want around you, or it also reflects when you interact, engage with your employee?
No, it is. You see, it's all a part of a person's attributes and person's qualities, right? I mean, he was an animal lover. Many of us are animal lovers, but we don't have pets at home. But he had pet dogs. He was an animal lover. He cared about the stray dogs, cared about all animals, which is very good, I think, because all of us inherit this earth together. All of us have only this planet to live on. Animals and human beings, we're all together, and he demonstrated that in his own way. How he loved. It is a sign of affection that he had for all creatures made by God in this planet. So I think that's all a part of his makeup as an individual.
Part of his nature, part of what made him the great man that he was, and the fact that everybody today is talking about his personality, facets of his personality that are not known to many. Thank you very much, Mr. Pai, for joining us on the broadcast. Thank you for answering those questions.